Welcome to day 23 of How to Make Money Online 30-Day Challenge. Today's topic is online consulting. Hey Lawadi, how you doing? It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. How you been doing? Okay, you guys know how it works. So day 23, we're going to go over the definition. We're going to go over a high level about online consulting, and then we're going to dive in. So hopefully you guys are ready to rock and roll. Okay, so online consulting, what is it? What is it exactly? So online consulting involves providing expert advice and professional services to a client basically over the internet. So really you can do this as long as you have internet access. You can do it from a phone, from a computer, tablet, however you have internet access, you can do it from any device, depending on what the actual consulting is. So consultants use their knowledge and their expertise in specific fields such as business, marketing, technology, finance to help clients solve problems. So improve processes and achieve their goals. Sweetums, hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Sorry, it was a little chaotic today over here, and usually I plan out a couple hours and I do the thumbnail and do all the kind of stuff, but it was a little chaotic, so I apologize. And thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate it. So I was just getting involved in the or starting on the definition. So um, okay, so we talked about online consulting, what it does. Basically helps clients solve problems and improves processes and achieve their goals. So this service, hey Maria, how you doing? It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. How are you? It's so great that you caught this one. Yeah. Yeah, it was a little crazy over here, but we got it going. All right. I got the water ready. I think that awesome. Cool. Yeah, we're so excited you're here. Thank you so much for joining. So the Maria, are you in the United States by chance? I'm sorry, I can't remember from the previous live. Awesome. Awesome. Happy 4th of July to you. Yeah, that's why I was a little late. It's a little kind of like cluttered. Was over with some family, and usually I like to get all this stuff ready ahead of time. Um, do the thumbnail and kind of get the word out. And so there's a couple of hours of like, prep time where people can get ready. But it was kind of like a rush, rush, rush. So not bad. I mean, the first one in 23 days. So um, definitely going to try to make it a little less crazy. So anyway, so today we're talking about online consulting. So I know we've talked about, so if you guys have been here before, we've talked about online tutoring, we've talked about virtual assistants, VAs, and now online consulting. Oh yeah, it is, right? You know what's funny is so the lights are like they kind of go back and forth between like blue, red, yellow, orange. I there's a different like there's an app on the phone you can go through and you can just pick a setting. So I'm like, okay, this looks festive. So I just thought I would use that. So so yeah, so I know that we've talked about before. Um, awesome. Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yep. So I don't. So it must be like. Are you? It must be like almost pitch black over there where you are, Maria, right? So I'm in Colorado, so we still have sun, we still have daylight. So it's about what is it, 6:50 here. Okay, so let's kind of dive in because I know that we've had a couple different topics that are very similar to online consulting. I know we've had online tutoring that was within the last week. We've had virtual assistant that was in the same kind of ballpark arena. Um, so let's talk about how is online consulting different from specifically like online tutoring or online coaching. So basically, the definition of online consulting would be you hire an online consultant to do whatever the task is or whatever skill that you're hiring for, a service. And then you basically you hire them. So basically a tutor would be somebody who's teaching you and kind of educating you to get along and you're kind of like on the same level. Obviously you're still paying for a tutor, but um, with the consultant, they're doing all the work for you. So you're not doing anything. So you're basically in a sense, you're basically outsourcing whatever that work is. So, okay, so Sweetums asks, how is online consulting different from in-person consulting? So, the cool part about online consulting is you can really do it from anywhere in the entire world. All you need really is an internet connection. So, it's going to depend on, I think, the main difference is the ability to um, help people solve problems, work with people across the globe. So, like in person consulting, you might have a company that brings you in, or you might have, come in as like a contractor or that kind of thing. But the beauty about online consulting is I could help somebody in Italy, and I'm in the States, and they will contract out and pay for my services to whatever I'm going to do. So I could be doing video editing. I could be running ads for them on Facebook or Pinterest or wherever. Um, and they could be in Italy and I could be in the States. So that's the cool part about, and really the main difference is you can really expand your reach. You can help anybody, anywhere, really globally. Whether the time zone is a factor, I mean, that's something you would kind of work out together. But in terms of, what the actual service you're providing is. So that's probably the best part about it. So I think a lot of the communication happens through tools such as like video calls, maybe like Skype or like Zoom, that kind of thing. Of course, emails and other chat platforms, maybe Discord, maybe Microsoft Teams, whatever, primarily whatever the client wants to, as far as how they prefer to communicate, that's really what you're gonna use, instead of just email. Because I know a lot of people, I know that a lot of people that I've talked to before that were consultants in uh, in a different part of the states, like on the East Coast, like around Baltimore, DC, Jersey, that kind of area, um, they would actually communicate through whatever the client their main tool was. So okay, so Sweetums asked, what? Sorry, my eyes are like crossing. What are the top what are the top areas to hire online consultants for? So I got a list. I always like to try to have a list as best I can. So okay. So let's see. So these are going to be in no particular order. So these are really like the top 10. So when I was researching basically the top 10 areas. So we'll go down like fairly quickly just to tell you guys what they are. And then we'll kind of go from there. So number one, in no particular order, number one is digital marketing. So basically you're talking about like SEO, content marketing, social media strategy, running ads for people, email marketing, that sort of thing. Um, so I'll just run through them and then we can talk about them individually if you guys have questions. So number two is business strategy management. So basically, you're helping a business plan, grow, and develop a strategy to implement improvements and the overall management of the consulting. So basically, managing an entire business, basically. So number three is going to be IT and cybersecurity, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with. Offer expertise in network security, data protection, IT infrastructure, and cybersecurity. So those are all crucial to running any kind of enterprise. Um, Number four is going to be financial consulting. So provide services related to financial planning investment advice, accounting, tax planning, and financial analysis overall for an overall. So number five is HR and recruitment. So you guys are probably familiar with HR. Assist in talent acquisition, basically bringing on new talent, new hires. HR strategy, employee training and development, and even to some extent workplace culture. Kind of working on what um, if a company is trying to build their culture or create a certain culture to build it out. So, number six is legal consulting. So, basically offering business law, intellectual property, contracts, compliance, and really any kind of legal matter that you might, come up with that you might need assistance with. So, number seven is going to be health and wellness. And basically, providing support in areas of nutrition, fitness, could be mental health, and overall wellness strategies. So, obviously, you're not going to necessarily do like a one on one fitness program, but it could be more of like maybe a fitness coach, possibly, that holds you accountable and actually creates maybe workouts and like a fitness kind of like regimen for you. So number eight is going to be e-commerce. So this includes setting up like online stores, e-commerce, like the platform, as far as like the organization, the optimization of an e-commerce store platform, could be like strategies for scaling your sales, and also like product sourcing. So where do you get your products from? Is it a wholesale place, and so forth? Number nine is going to be project management. So we assist, or they would assist with the planning, the executing, and the closing of projects, and ensuring they're complete and on time, and most importantly, on budget. Because I know that's the biggest part of being a project manager, making sure they're on budget. So, and then finally, it's going to be education and training. So you could offer tutoring, professional development, and training programs in different fields. I love those hearts, by the way. Whoever's doing that, that's awesome. Thank you so much. So that was a great question, Sweetum. So those are kind of fast. So I apologize. Those are kind of a fast rundown of the top 10. Right now, the most popular, the most sought after um, areas of expertise that people hire consultants for. So, okay. So I'm going to pause for a sec. Do you guys have any questions so far? Anybody have any questions? Just kind of like getting started with online consulting and kind of, opening up that, this kind of path, and how it's similar but different. So, yeah, yeah, Sweetums, that's a good point. So it does sound more like, I think it really depends on maybe how many clients you take on and what you're actually getting paid to do as far as the services. Because I know for sure if you were to say, with an e-commerce side, if you were to get paid to run somebody's like Facebook ads, or Google ads, that kind of thing, to their e-commerce store, I mean, I can definitely see that being a side hustle, because you're not really like super hands-on all day, every day. You're kind of just setting up the strategy. But um, I think I mean, it could be probably considered both, depending on what you're doing, but um, it definitely seems like it's more of like a full-time job. But I think depending on if you have like a small list of clients, you can definitely probably classify it as a side hustle, depending on how involved you really are. Because usually you hire a consultant if it's something that a company is stuck on, or they need to get past an obstacle, or they need advice because the consultant has seen it in their many, many years of experience, that kind of thing. So you typically, in my experience, you bring in a consultant for a very specific reason and like obstacle, or it doesn't even have to be an obstacle, but like planning and strategy for a certain task or a project that you want to complete. So I'll give you guys an example, like a real world example. So in a past life, I used to work. I worked for like a newspaper kind of media company kind of thing, and they brought in consultants from, I think it was California, and they wanted to roll out a new magazine, and they needed to bring somebody in who was really familiar with like the design portion of it. So like Photoshop, InDesign, that kind of thing, Illustrator, like the entire Adobe suite. And basically they brought this consultant in to train and to like upskill the designers that were on staff locally, and really just kind of point them in the right direction, do training protocols, training, like they created training, what do you call it, like not outline but like a training program, I guess, kind of thing. So that was kind of more of like the specific example of why they would bring somebody in. Excuse me. All right, so Sweetum says, and I love this: being an expert in any field means you could charge money. I wish I had money like to, do the thing. That's absolutely right. That's so true. Absolutely, Sweetums. You definitely can charge like, you know, I don't want to say an arm and a leg necessarily, but typically when you hear, "Oh, we're gonna hire a consultant," I mean, it's probably it's gonna be good money. So what you can think of it is like, I read when I was getting ready for this, it's usually like 2 to 3 times what you would pay somebody like a normally hourly rate. So that's so cool. I love seeing you guys interact with each other. That's so cool. Yeah, it's like, dang, man, like, let's just say, you're talking about, I've heard of like lawyers or that kind of thing, like legal individuals, where they charge 100, 150, 200, 250, $300 an hour. So, I mean, that's just like the that's the reality of, depending on what type of consultant or what area of expertise you're in. If it's really, really in demand, I mean, you can totally like, you know, hey, just Kevin, welcome in. We're talking about online consulting, so definitely, if you'd like to stay, we're more than happy to have you. Just try to keep the comments, comments on path with what we're talking about. But so yeah, yeah, Lawadi, right? Isn't it crazy? It's like, so w- it doesn't mean that you're sitting here after you need to have like 30 years of experience as like, a lawyer, or like, I don't know, just something crazy. I mean, typically, obviously, you go to a consultant because a company or a brand needs help. But by the same token, I mean, it doesn't mean that becoming a consultant yourself is like out of reach, right? So, I mean, if you are an expert, or what they call like a subject matter expert, as me, in a certain field or a certain area of expertise, then there's no reason why you can't be the consultant, that kind of thing, in terms of being able to reach out and offer your services to people. So, yeah, definitely. Okay, so we talked about what online consulting is. We talked about the types of online consulting, business, marketing, technology, finance, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's kind of roll into the benefits and the challenges. So, of course, all of these benefits are pretty obvious. So, scalability. So basically, you can scale this to the moon, basically, and it's really just how how big of a client list can you take on? So how much time do you have? So scalability, I think, goes really directly with flexibility. So in that sense, would you be doing it full time versus would you be doing it as a side hustle? So I think you have to kind of, before you get too deep in this, you got to decide, all right, I mean, how much time do I have to really kind of dedicate to this? So if I have like a full time gig that I'm already doing, and I'm only having a little bit of time at night, a couple of hours, then maybe you only want to have like one client, maybe two, depending on what the actual, the area of expertise, or what you're being paid to do. So, and how intense is that? How intense is the task that you're being asked to do? So, and you can definitely have a broad client base, because it's going to be global, because it's online. So, that is one of the huge benefits of having it be online, because it really doesn't matter where the client is, right? Or the company or the brand. It could be anywhere across the world. So those little details, you kind of work out. just between you and the company or the brand, but um, that's definitely a benefit for sure. Um, all right, so now here, let's talk about the challenges, and I think some of the benefits might kind of cross over into challenges. Hey, Bookie, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining. Happy to have you here. So one of the challenges, I think, one of the main challenges that I can kind of foresee, especially if you're just starting out, is building trust online. So how do you build that trust? Like, how do you build that trust online? What do you have to do to actually say, "Hey, you can trust me. I'm a good guy," whatever, um, that kind of thing. I mean, so the answer, in my opinion, the answer is you have credentials, you have the education, and you can prove, whether it be on paper or through experience, that hey, I do have this experience. So you can trust me because here is what I've done. This is my portfolio basically. Um, so another challenge I think that would you can kind of work around this, but I think at least initially this might be a challenge, is managing the different time zones, especially if you're global. So you're like, oh crap, you guys are, let's just say, I mean, I mentioned Italy before, so they're probably what, like, I'm not even sure, but they're probably at least 8 to 10 hours ahead of the United States, if not more. So that's something that I think you really have to kind of work around. It could be a challenge, but at the same time, I think it could be something that works in your benefit because maybe you're working on whatever it is while these people are sleeping or vice versa, so okay, so Bookie said use testimonials from people in real life. I think that's a great idea. So if you, the online consultant, in my opinion, obviously you want to have some sort of a place, aka like a website, where you can show off basically what are your credentials, what can you do, what's your experience. If you have a place where you can keep pointing people to, hey, this is what I do, and you can go here and hear all my testimonials like this. And oh wow, thank you, Sweetums. What is that? 7 a.m. in Italy. Wow. Okay. So dang. So that's 12 hours ahead. 12 hours ahead of where I am. That's crazy. So yeah, so I would use testimonials from local people. So because, the title of this is online consulting, which is okay, but if you have local consulting that you've done, you can absolutely use and you should use those testimonials. Oh, is it Thursday morning? Are they behind? Oh, dang. Okay, I thought they were ahead of us. Sorry. Sorry everybody. I'm like trying to figure out this time zone change in Italy here. Okay, so they're behind the states. Okay. So, and then I think the third kind of challenge, but it could be, is handling client expectations. So you really want to make sure that your communication is top notch. And that's all right. That's all right, Sweetos. That's all right. It's all good. No problem. So you really want to make sure that you're handling client expectations. That cracked me up. Client expectations, meaning you have this constant communication, this constant contact. It's all good. No worries. This constant contact, constant communication with your client, because if you don't, then that saying is like, if they don't, see that you're doing anything, I mean, they're going to assume that you're not doing anything, right? So I mean, seeing is believing in a sense of, okay, are you actually working on my project or whatever it is? Like, oh wow, Luwadi, it's 1:10 a.m. in Ghana. Thank you for staying up for this. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I hope you're getting something out of this so far, and you know, don't don't be a time consultant, sweetums. So yeah, no, I think, but some of those, like seriously, some of those challenges, I think you could easily turn into benefits, and it could be something to where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna take that challenge, and I'm good, I'm on. So I'm gonna actually take advantage of it, and I'm gonna work around it. I'm gonna figure out a path, see how I can do it as best I possibly can. So uh, those are some of the benefits and the challenges. So, all right, so let's talk about getting started as a beginner. Remember that, the whole challenge, the whole kind of viewpoint of this challenge was really to expose, or like not expose, but is identify, um, you know, I'm like using the wrong words, is to introduce everyone, new people, to these different side hustles. So that's really, kind of get the wheels turning a little bit, see if, you know what, maybe you want to take a look at that, or maybe, try your hand at XYZ. So, okay. So, you guys, if you have been here for any live stream or any of my videos, you know for sure the first step we're going to talk about is identifying your niche and your expertise. So, and really with a lot of these side hustles, you definitely you need to be able to identify what is niche. I think kind of less niche and more expertise. So what are you actually skilled in? So you have to assess your skills and your qualifications and then your experience. So you kind of combine all those into one excuse me, into one, like, nice little um portfolio or that kind of thing. So what are you good at? What do you do for maybe a living, or what do you get paid to do? That would be a great place to start. So deciding or trying to figure out what could you get paid for, as an online consultant. Um, and then defining your target audience. So who are you going to be targeting and what are their needs? How can you help solve problems? And that's the biggest, like the number one, I think kind of like aha moment for anybody, whether it's affiliate marketing, you know, um, really anything in online business as a whole. So you find your audience, how can you solve a problem and how can you meet their needs? So that's basically like the big moment, the big aha moment. So, and I know that is a lot easier said than done. Believe me, I'm like, every day I'm racking my brain. I'm like, oh man, how do I do this? Or how do I figure that part out? Or that kind of thing. So, um, that's kind of where we start as far as like in the very beginning. So you want to kind of get those wheels turning. So, okay, so developing your consulting services. So we kind of dove into this, but from the beginning, you want to create a list of services you're going to offer. And you know what? It might only be one. It might be one service or two, that kind of thing. Or it might be that you only have experience in one topic, and that is okay because, the more that you offer, I think, it can get, maybe you can kind of muddy the situation, meaning like it can get a little chaotic and a little maybe overwhelming for you. So, to be honest, I would probably in the beginning specialize in one. Just figure out one thing that you'd be able to charge for, or be a consultant. Yeah, Bookie. So, read. So you read once. How do I feel an unmet need? That's well said because that's what it is. I mean, how are you gonna feel? How do you feel the need of somebody else? And I think solving somebody's problem, it doesn't matter if you're creating content online or if you're, helping somebody as a consultant or you're running ads for them, whatever it is, or you're creating an invention, solving a problem is how you're going to make money, period. End of story. So if you kind of think of it like that, think of it like in that mindset, how can I solve the problem or how can I make life easier for this individual, this company, this brand? That's kind of where you want to start with your mindset. Like, how could I not only stand out myself, make myself stand out, but also like, how can I help XYZ, whatever the company or the brand is. So, how does that sound? Does that make sense? Does that kind of make sense to you guys? Yeah, I totally second that, Sweetums. Lawadi, hopefully we can help you on this journey together. And we're just happy that everyone is here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it. So if you're new here, thank you so much, first off, for being here. You're in the middle, well, not the middle, towards the end of a How to Make Money Online 30-day challenge. Where every day for 30 days, we're going live and we're talking about a different side hustle or a different business model. So, yep. So today's topic is online consulting if you're new here. So, welcome. We're happy to have you here. Okay. So, once you kind of figure out what services you're going to offer, the next step is going to be you develop a package or some sort of hourly rate for your services. Okay, so Bookie asked, are there dedicated platforms for connecting consultants to clients? So I think the two best places that I would go as far as like consulting services, um, they don't necessarily call it like consulting, but I would say both Fiverr and Upwork are two of the best platforms in terms of connecting, somebody who has a certain skill or certain expertise with filling the need, right? So filling the need of a customer. So it may not be necessarily a brand or a business; it might be an individual going to search those two different sites. Um, but I would say Upwork and Fiverr would be my two main choices in order to start. Because I haven't found any actual like dedicated platform besides those that connect consultants to clients. Aside from if you're looking at like a lawyer and kind of like a law directory, that kind of thing. Those kinds of things exist where there's like just one specific topic or area of expertise, but if you want to get a wide range or a wide spectrum of, you know, these basically these consultants that can do a wide variety or vast varying skills, I would say Fiverr or Upwork, and that's where I would go. Because I've been looking, I didn't see anything. Let's see. Another place that I would highly recommend is LinkedIn. So, hey Jennifer, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. So happy you're here. Hey, it's all good. Don't worry about being late. No worries. It's all good. No problem at all. We're just happy you're here. So I would say so LinkedIn, if you guys aren't familiar with LinkedIn, that's like it's a business social media platform. So basically connecting people, business people, to each other, right? So primarily you get on there and you fill out all your information with what you do, whether it's working for a job or I mean a company, that kind of thing, or if you do your own thing, you fill that stuff out, and then you can network. Basically, you network with other people. There's a million and one groups on LinkedIn. So you can create a group, you can find a group to actually join, and you can network that way. And that's totally free. So that's also another option is LinkedIn because it's all about the network and networking, with other people. So um, there's also one called Reputation. So reputation.com is basically there's businesses listed on there, and it's kind of like it's more of like a local thing. So it'll hook you up with, what businesses for a specific topic, or not necessarily topic, but what businesses, depending on what the area of expertise is in your area. So that's not necessarily kind of linking up clients with like a consultant, but that's kind of more of like a local kind of thing. So Fiverr, Upwork, and LinkedIn, those would be the top places that I would look. And especially go heavy on LinkedIn because you never know who is in your network. So, and you can always use the reason I like LinkedIn is because they allow and there's hashtags basically that you can use to like use as keywords. So if you type in the hashtag or the pound sign, and then you start typing in a word, if you were going to create a post, then you could actually click on it and you can see how many times this is being searched. So, like per month. So, or how many people follow it. So, if it's something like online business or maybe art or, photography, something along those lines, um, that's kind of one of the best places I think that may not be thought of right away. So it's kind of off the beaten path. So okay, so Sweetums asked, is it necessary to have your own website? So I honestly I don't think like 100% it's necessary. But I think by the same token, it would really kind of have you like have a leg up, I guess, on your competition because if people are able to go to see, even if it's just a super basic website, like a one page, kind of gives a couple pictures of you, your experience, what you've done, that kind of thing, some testimonials or reviews. I think that is something that you can send people to, and they can start building that, you know, comfort level and that trust level just by reading some of what you have on your website. So while it's not 100% necessary or mandatory, I think it's a smart decision to go ahead and create a website for yourself. So yeah, yeah, Bookie, exactly, like a landing page. Yep. So I mean, excuse me, and you can do that on a million and one different platforms. So um, yeah, it's one of those things where I would highly recommend it. Um, and I'm actually trying myself to kind of put something together, just to kind of, you know, be a little more well-rounded. So like YouTube, and then, you know, I have some socials or whatever, and then trying to put it together with a website to kind of bring it a little more, you know, kind of full. But so yeah, that's definitely something that hopefully is coming soon. So no, that's a great question. Have you guys, has anybody out there used a consultant? Like, have you guys, whether it be like on a personal level, or like if you're a small business, or even just if you work for a company, have you been around where people hire consultants? Like, kind of been a part of that process where they bring a consultant in? Have you guys, has anybody been a part of that? Okay, so Bookie asked, do you know, excuse me, what's the simplest and cost effective way to do a landing page? Yeah, so I would say, I would really say, you know, if you find a host, like a host provider that doesn't charge very much, like if you can get away with doing something for free, I think that that is probably the way to go as far as being able to um, get it done. Um, Sorry, I was trying to load this page, but I'm not sure why it's not loading. So there's a platform that I started using. I haven't really dug in too deep to it, but as far as building landing pages, so it's system.io. That's the brand, or that's a company. It's system.io. So oh, that's cool. That's cool. Student site. It didn't work. It didn't work. That is so cool. That is so cool, Boogie. So you made a landing page with using AI on GoDaddy. That's awesome. That is super cool. I'm super, super excited for you. And I can't wait to hear how that goes. Seriously. I definitely want to hear how that goes. Because that's, I mean, that's something that's perfect. That's like a perfect example of like learning something that's like live, you know, on our live streams, and actually taking action and putting it to use, which is just, I mean, the ultimate for me as far as being able to actually try this, try something live, try something in person, and try it for yourself and see what happens. Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Bookie. Yeah, I appreciate that. These are great questions. So yeah, if you guys ever have any questions, just pop them in the chat, and I'll do my best to try not to like look over them because I'm just looking at my screen right here. So okay, so after you do your packages and the hourly rates for your services, and if you want to figure out how to, okay, so how do I market myself as far as like what do I charge, that kind of thing. I really think what the best way to do it is to try to find competitors, people in your own like niche, whatever your topic is, and kind of see what other people charge, and then that's probably the best place to start is find what is already out there, what's already, we'll say, working, what's already working, or maybe talk to, friends and family, maybe somebody is a consultant for something, some other type of expertise and or skill, and you can kind of ask them. But I think it's really about kind of finding people in your similar kind of world of whatever you're going to be consulting on. So yeah, that's funny, Bookie. So I just saw your question. So yeah, so you could start. I think it's best to research. Basically, you start researching. You can even just type into Google and say, what is a typical wage for X, for whatever the consulting is or whatever the skill is, or, that kind of thing. So, okay. So Jennifer said, I think you asked if we have ever used consultant. I found a consultant during my pregnancy through a podcast. So I think podcast is a great way to show you're an expert in the field. That's cool. That's super cool, Jennifer. Like, that's interesting. And I totally agree. I mean, I love the idea of a podcast and being able to, kind of pull out. I mean, if somebody is talking and talking about this kind of stuff, and they're building up that trust factor, and you like what they have to say, and you feel like, what, I can work with you, or you feel that you can trust not only what they're saying but also their expertise level. That's awesome. What a great way to, and honestly, I think that's a unique way too, to build that kind of like that know, like, and trust factor with somebody. That's cool because I don't think, honestly, I don't think a lot of people would kind of put those two and two together, to be honest. That is awesome. You know what's funny? Not funny, but what's funny about that is, like, clearly this individual was able to come through the audio, the speakers, right? You were listening, and speak to you in a sense of, I feel comfortable. I feel maybe validated, or that kind of, like, validated that they know their stuff, that kind of thing, and be able to actually, like, speak to you without literally speaking to you on the phone. But something about the way they deliver their message, or the way that they present whatever the information is, really kind of calmed some of the nerves, and really, I think it sounds like it made you confident that you would be willing to take a chance on this person. So kudos to them. That is incredible. I mean, that whatever they're doing, they're definitely doing something right. So that is awesome. So as we kind of dive in, we kind of talked about a little bit about this earlier. So when you're doing the consulting thing, whether you're finding a consultant or you are the one that's going to be trying to be the consultant, obviously you want to set up your online presence. So we talked about building a website. Is it necessary? Is it not? Yes, no, maybe so. I personally think it is, because I feel like that adds even more credibility and more credence to the fact that you are taking it seriously, you're professional, and you want to make money. You're not just doing this on the side, like, kind of lollygagging around. And it doesn't even have to be like this crazy website, hired by these insane coders. It could be like what Bookie talked about, doing, literally creating a landing page with AI. I mean, seriously, it's as easy as that. So it doesn't mean that there's not a learning curve that's involved with getting that done if you haven't done it yourself. But these hosting sites, like, GoDaddy, we talked about Squarespace, Wix, all of these are basically the same. It really just is a matter of what you like, what their price is it easy to use for you individually. So okay, so Bookie said, I read something really pointed today, that you have to combine passion and proficiency to make a profit. I like that. I like that. And I think, to be honest, like almost in my mind, passion is more of a priority than proficiency. I think people can learn. Obviously, people can learn skills and they can learn. I think but it's really a unique thing to be able to teach people, like whether it's like through the screen, like through a video on demand session, or like if you have a Zoom call or a phone call. But I agree. I mean, if you have a passion for something, I think it's engaging and it's infectious, and it makes learning more exciting. And you make somebody actually become like pumped and energized about learning. But if you're sitting up there and you're like Ben Stein in like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and you're like, just as monotone, like just like a zombie, basically, nobody's going to want to learn from you. So I think it's really a matter of, do you bring the energy? Do you bring and the skill, right? I mean, but I think if you're lacking in skill, you can bring up the energy and you can kind of make up for some of that, I think. As long as you're not totally like, you know, basically crapping your way through the entire thing, like you're faking it. So yeah, Boogie, that's a good point. So Jennifer, it does sound like the consultant really knew how to combine the skills and appeal to the audience for sure. So I totally agree. I mean that's cool. I mean, taking all these different pieces and putting them together, and the fact that you kind of felt like you already knew this person to a certain extent, or you felt comfortable enough to want to hire them, is incredible. I mean, that's like the ultimate compliment in my mind. Like, getting a client from a podcast or wherever it is through marketing, or sorry, through marketing or wherever it is. That's what happens when you have this crappy tripod. It falls on everything. There we go. First jump scare of the live stream, day 23. We got a marker on this. What is that? 47 minutes in. I was like, what the heck is going on here? I can't move my hands around, I guess. So I think that's the lesson. The lesson for this live stream is that I can't move my hands around because I'm going to smack the thing. Hashtag buy me a tripod. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, yeah, I would never do that. I wouldn't do that. You can buy me coffee, but you don't have to buy me a tripod. Just for the heck of it. Here we go. I like decaf. I like a ton of creamer and sugar. I'm just kidding. So, okay, so Sweetums asked, what tools and software would you need to start? So I would say, in terms of the tools and the software, so you really in order to kind of answer that, I think, as accurately as possible, let's together, like all of us, right? Let's somebody throw out some type of expertise, area of expertise. Yeah, I like cream with my coffee. Yeah, it's got to be decaf because caffeine destroys my stomach or my bladder. And anyway, I don't want to get too far off this. How does online consulting relate to drinking coffee? I don't know. So does anybody have an area of expertise that we want to start with, and then we can all kind of answer this question about tools and software? Because I think for the most part it could be similar, but we want to just kind of drill down. So what is a topic that we could talk about, and then we can kind of go into the tools and the software. We got somebody throwing around tripods. We got talking about coffee, decaf over here. And just as an FYI, if you guys over here, if you hear any banging noises or like any kind of booms or anything, it's okay. People are shooting off fireworks. So just if you happen to hear loud booms over here, it's fireworks. Okay, so social media. So let's say you're a social media consultant. So and let's just say for the heck of it, you're running Facebook ads. So that's your area of expertise. So I like that. Good suggestion. So social media consultant, and you're running ads. So the first thing you need, obviously, would you definitely need a laptop or some sort of computer. I mean, obviously, to start, I would say you definitely need some sort of a webcam, either on your laptop or external. I'm pointing like you guys can see the webcam. You know what? Can I flip this around? There it is, right here. Okay, so you need some you need some sort of a webcam in order to be able to converse and talk and communicate with your client. Otherwise, you know, how you gonna talk to him on the phone? You I guess you could do that. So laptop, webcam, some sort of camera to talk to him. Um, and then in terms of, you need to have internet access, obviously. So this is just bare bones. And then on top of that, you really want to have some sort of like a calendar, some sort of calendar tool that you use to be able to book appointments and keep everything in check. Also, excuse me, also a way to keep on task. Maybe you could use something like Microsoft Teams or like Skype in order to like communicate as far as like chatting goes with the client. Um, and then really some way to kind of like share your screen. So if that's what they want you to do, is to be able to share your screen so they can actually see what you're doing. There's profiles out there. OBS Studio is one that's totally free that you can use to share your screen, and so that one's really cool. You can also do like with Teams, that kind of thing. Yeah. Sorry, Sweetum. So the calendar tool is, let me get the actual website here. Okay. All right. So the calendar tool is Calendly. So I think I said that right. I like this one because it's very easy to use, and of course I put in the. Sorry, I messed up the the URL. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can retract that. Remove. See if that works. There we go. Okay. Did that pop up? Yeah. So the reason I like this one is because, especially if you're a consultant and you're somebody who's going to be working with clients a lot, not only do you have the calendar piece, but you can also pay a little bit more to integrate Zoom. So if you're going to use Zoom, Zoom is like one of the most well-known video kind of chat programs that a lot of companies, enterprises use. So I would definitely use that, especially if it's built in. So Calendly, if you sign up, you can actually integrate not just the calendar itself, but it will actually email the client a Zoom meeting, like a link and everything. So um, that's pretty big because you don't have to worry about, did I send client one the Zoom meeting, or did I send it to client two or whatever. So everything is built in, and it basically gives you the template of being able to send the Zoom meeting. So those are kind of some of the basic tools that I would definitely recommend as far as getting started. And social media consultant. I mean, you can use those, but those can also be valuable and beneficial for others as well. So for other types of um, like consulting, that kind of thing. Sorry, I was trying to sign into this thing, and I don't know why it's not sending me a text. But anyway. Oh, that's super cool. That's awesome, Jennifer. So she uses Google Meet, okay, which sends a link to you for the meeting. It shares the screen really well too. Cool. That is cool. Those are great, great suggestions. I didn't even think about that for Canva. We talk about Canva for having templates for a ton of other things, but for teaching and actually, when you're sharing your screen to actually set up a presentation, that's awesome. That is super cool. I mean, and obviously, like, I know that if you're on a Mac, I know that there's a built-in tool called Keynote, and that one also is really good with presentations. And then, of course, everybody has heard of, um, PowerPoint. with Microsoft Office. But if you don't want to pay for that, I think Google has a free one too. Like a free, is it a free presentation? Google presentations. Let's see. Okay, so it's called Google Slides. Is their version. So, but I love it. Jennifer, I'm just curious. Does anybody out there? I'm sure that you do, but does anybody out there also use Canva? If you guys use Canva, and you really enjoy using it, free or pro version, doesn't matter. Can you put a thumbs up in the chat, please? I'm just curious, like, how many of you guys actually use Canva? Because we talk about Canva all the time on this channel. It's so easy to use. It's free. Obviously, the free version is still really powerful. Look at that. Sweden's bringing some Portuguese. I'm sorry. Really? That just shows my education level right there. This live stream is just going downhill very quickly. That's funny. Awesome. Yeah. You know what? If I could put I thought there was a way for me to do a poll or something. I don't know. I thought there was a way. I don't know. You know what? I should probably figure this stuff out before we go live. You know, I could have sworn there was a way for me to do a poll, like when I'm live, but I don't really want to mess with the settings because I don't want to drop you guys off. So, anyway, so when we're talking about setting up your online presence, um, you definitely want to set up social media too. So, social media profiles, I think it's less about, doing kind of like the silly, crazy stuff or whatever, and more about like showing that you're human and you're showing that you do have a human side. And if this is going to be like excuse me, if this is going to be basically like a business social media profile, you're going to want to make sure that you have a nice professional shot, like kind of, like a headshot and like a nice outfit or whatever. And, just you got to be very careful and cognizant about what you actually post. If this is going to be the face of whatever your consulting is, right? Any kind of business, like online consulting or not. So you just want to make it as professional as possible and make it so people feel comfortable. They're like, okay, I'm going to take you seriously because it doesn't show you, you know, maybe, having a good time out with your friends or whatever, like, at a bar or something. I mean, it's a nice shot. It's something to where you're professional, you're taking it seriously, that kind of thing. So, so I would definitely highly recommend doing that. Social media platforms, and we talked about this a little bit before, but you can use platforms like LinkedIn, which are free to network, and you can establish authority in your particular area of expertise. So when you set up a profile on LinkedIn, you can actually go in there and you can have people, you can say, okay, I have this skill, this skill, this skill, this skill. And you can basically choose from a vast number of skills. And then anybody that's in your network that's connected to you, they can actually go and they could, I don't know what you call it, like basically vouching for your skills, like liking it or upvoting. That's not the right way to say it, but they basically upvote your skills to like validate, hey, this person knows what they're talking about. And I know for sure that they have this particular skill. So that's always something good. That kind of gives a little more credence, I think, to, not just your experience level, but also um, that you have integrity and that you're doing this, you're trying to do it the right way, that kind of thing. So awesome. I love seeing all those thumbs up. That's so cool. Thank you guys. Yeah, I love Canva too. So it's one of those things where I couldn't do anything that I do online without Canva, 100%. And I know there's alternatives out there, but I just personally like Canva. So I talk about it a lot. We do talk about it a lot on this channel, but I really like it. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a great tool. So okay, so speaking of tools, we're going to kind of dive into this next section and choosing the right tools and the platforms. So you're going to want to obviously select a video conferencing tool because this is online consulting. This isn't like, hey, we're gonna do this consulting from my basement next to my Xbox. I mean, it could be, but so obviously the top three tools for video conferencing. You guys have already said them before. We've said them. Um, just real quick, can we get a count? What do you guys think? So, what do you think are the top tools? So, if you had to type in the chat, what are the top tools for video conferencing? Yep. Book, you know what it is. That's one. That's one of them. What do you guys think? So, what are the top three? Zoom is one of them. Zoom is probably number one. There's two more that are like the most popular and the most like widely used, widely accepted, that kind of thing. I know you guys know these. I know for sure that Jennifer said one earlier. And I think I can't remember who said it. All three have been mentioned for sure in this live stream. So we got Zoom. That's number one. I mean, not necessarily number one, but we have one of them. So there's two more. So okay, so we have Zoom, and then I'll just mention the other one. So, um, and I apologize if I say this and then it comes through the chat because the chat's like delayed like 20, 25 seconds. Um, Skype is another one, and Google Meet. So yeah, actually, you know what? On this particular list, Teams isn't listed, but that's still up there. I definitely think that's up there. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Sweetums, I know what you're talking about. So there was one before Zoom got popular. What was that? Does anybody remember? Like, do you guys remember? What the heck? I mean, I know Skype, obviously, but was there something before Google Meet? I'm just trying to think. Zoom, Skype, Google Meet, obviously Teams, which is, relative compared to these other ones, relatively newer, I think. Skype. Okay. Zoom. Yeah. So it's funny how like when the things happened a couple years ago and in the world and everybody was working remotely. um like just this is a tiny tiny tangent, I promise. So Zoom as a company as a whole just like skyrocketed. So not only because people were using it and that's how their employers were like, okay, this is how we're going to interact. It was in schools, it was in like companies, enterprises all over the world, but also because of that, the stock price just went like this. It just took off, and that was pretty incredible. I didn't get in on that, but that would have been one of those kind of buys that you would kind of see that kind of went up, and if you were lucky enough to jump on it and kind of ride that wave a little bit, I'm sure there's definitely people that made money on that. So yeah, definitely. Yep. You know what's funny is like, I know YouTube has different triggers and stuff for different like words and things. So that's why like, the words that I'm using is not exactly, the words that I think you guys know what I'm talking about. But I have to kind of, skate around. But yeah, definitely. So, okay, so those are the tools. Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. Definitely. Especially if like they held on and they're still holding on to it. Um, okay, so yeah, and another one. There's another kind of word. So, hey, Sneaky Ninja, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to comment. Yeah, Jennifer. Yeah, I do. I do. So a little bit here and there. There's not as many videos on like stocks and stuff and stock exchange and investing, but I'm looking to try to get a little more into it, because legitimately it is a side hustle, right? I mean, in terms of something where you can obviously make money off dividends and stuff. But yeah, there's a couple videos I think on the channel about investing. So, oh yeah, Sneaky Ninja. So did it like go up and it stayed like boom, boom, boom high, and then all of a sudden, it's funny. Like not funny, funny, but like it's funny in a sense of that's how these things happen, right? I mean, you just have all of a sudden, and this isn't related in any way, shape, or form, but the whole GameStop thing. I don't know if I don't want to get too far off. Actually, you know what? I don't want to get too far off the topic today because I don't want people like rewatching this and being like, "What? This has nothing to do with online consulting." So anyway, that's another topic. So hey, Sneaky Ninja, so good to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Awesome, Jennifer. I really appreciate that very much. Thank you so much. And seriously, let me know if you have any questions. You know what? Now is a good time. You guys know that I don't like to do the whole, hey, let's self promote, that kind of thing. But um, just in case you guys are interested, we do have a Facebook group that's free to join. It's just a small group, just it's good for like asking questions and that kind of thing. So if you have something that you're kind of wondering about or you're getting stuck on something, maybe we can kind of help guide you or help figure it out for you as best we can. Obviously no guarantees fully, but we'll do our best to kind of guide if you have any questions. So it's a public group, it's free, so you guys are more than welcome to join if you'd like. And always, you can always post questions, comments, anything in there. So as well as on videos. So either way, I check it all. So I usually respond to like comments and stuff on videos within like a day or two. So I try really, really hard to stay as engaged as possible. And I really do genuinely, I'm not just saying this, I really do answer every single comment. Even if it takes a couple days to get back. I do answer them all. So and I love interacting that way too. So it's really up to you guys, whatever your preference is. So okay. So we talked about the video conferencing tools, right? So next would be scheduling software. And really the only one on here is Calendly. And we talked about it earlier. So the calendar software that integrates with Zoom and it integrates with, maybe like your Google account, Google Calendar, whatever you want to say. But it's mainly for like the consultant themselves. So, and then of course you want to choose some sort of a payment processing system. So the two big ones that we've talked about a lot on this challenge is PayPal and Stripe. So hopefully, no matter where you are in the world, one of those hopefully works for you and is available. Those are definitely, I understand obviously everybody has fees. You can't get around that. You use a credit card or you charge a credit card, and everybody's going to take fees. So it's kind of like what's the lesser of the two evils, right? Do you want to accept charge card or credit card payments, or do you want to stick to something like Venmo or, what's the other one? Cash App or whatever. So it's really kind of up to you how you want to, how somebody would set that up for consulting. But I would say if I had to choose between PayPal and Stripe, I would choose Stripe, honestly. And the reason is because I feel like it's used more widely by like e-commerce brands, specifically Shopify. And I know a subset of Stripe is basically Shopify payments. So there's nothing wrong with PayPal, but I prefer to use Stripe if I can, if I have an option. So okay, and then we're gonna kind of talk about next up is defining your pricing in your packages. So we kind of talked about this before. Excuse me. So research competitor pricing. So somebody asked, how do you actually set your prices? Like, how do you know how much to charge an hour? And so the best thing you can do, I think, is research competitor pricing, like whatever your competitors are charging. And that might seem kind of like sneaky or however you want to word it, but it's really the way to go because you want to be competitive, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you're not undercutting yourself or you're not underselling yourself, that kind of thing. So you definitely want to make sure that you kind of have a ballpark of where you're setting your payments, or what what you charge is what I mean. So okay, so how how is that going so far? You guys have okay. So I just see Sweetums question. So on Etsy, some people suggest you take the prices of 5 competitors, take the average price out of those, and that's your price. That's a great strategy, especially if you don't really know what to set it at. So yeah, so Jennifer, you know what, I gotta be honest, I've never used Klarna, but I've heard of it. Um, that's kind of like a payment processor where they have the ability to take, is it multiple payments? Like you can kind of split up your payment. Is that what that is? I know I've heard of it before, specifically like on ecom. Nice. Like you can split it like 5 payments. That's cool. I mean, that's yeah, I'm curious. You know what? I'm gonna look it up. I'm curious how that works. Klarna. Let's see. Okay, so it says so I gotta be honest, I don't have experience with it, but I've heard of it before and it definitely is something I would for sure look into. Definitely. Because it looks like it says pay securely with Klarna, pay your way, buy now, pay later, easy checkout. Um, let's see, pay now, pay in 4, pay in 30 days, pay over time. That's cool. That's a really flexible payment option for sure. So it splits the payments. So let's give you okay. I wonder what like browser extension, Klarna card, Klarna Plus. Yeah, definitely. So it looks like there's an offer called Klarna Plus, and it says say goodbye to service fees and unlock exclusive deals every month. Sign up and get $8 off your first purchase. Hmm. So upgrade how you shop with Klarna Plus. So no service fees, basically. That's true. That is a great strategy, Jennifer. I mean, seriously, I would totally take advantage of that. You know, offering a lower um, upfront price and being able to extend out the payment. Um, I think that's a huge value, and a lot of people I think would take advantage of that. So you're like, wait, I don't have to pay. Let's just say it's $100. Wait, I don't have to pay $100. I can split it between 4 payments of $25. Hey, that's more manageable. I can do that. I'm cool. That kind of thing. I mean that's definitely something that I think would really entice somebody into wanting to, not just buy or like purchase something, but also at the same time, be willing to go with whatever the fees are. So, or it makes it a lot more digestible, a lot more easy, and a lot more, you can kind of, it makes it work within somebody's budget. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. It definitely seems definitely handy for sure. So I want to ask real quick, have you guys, and I can't remember if I asked this specifically, but has anybody been a consultant like that's here live in the live chat? Okay, so Bookie asks, should you offer free consultations? I think that's a great idea, to be honest. Like, I think so, and I think so because I feel like that would be one way for you to be able to kind of get a gauge or get a sense on do do I connect with this person? Plus you want to learn what the services they offer. You don't want to just jump into, okay, let's sign a contract, that kind of thing. Um, but if you give some sort of like a free, maybe free trial is not the right way to say it, but free, yeah, free consultation, intro kind of, hey, you can do the initial consultation, and that way if A, we click, but B, the services that I offer, is it something that you're interested in, or is this what you actually need help with? That kind of thing. Because I would hate for it to be like, okay, sign on the dotted line, and then you find out you're like, oh crap, you don't do what I need you to do, or you don't do exactly it's kind of like, not the same thing. I would hate being stuck in a situation where you're like, dang, I just put down a down payment or put down money, and now I'm screwed, because I didn't fully understand what the consult was, or what the area of expertise was. So that's definitely something to definitely be aware of. Yeah, but that's a good point. I mean, what do you guys think out there? Like, would if you guys just individually, if you were a consultant, would you offer an initial kind of like consultation or like a free consultation just to kind of build that, I know you can't really build a relationship with one consultation, but at least you can get a sense of how this person is, if you feel like there's going to be a good connection. Um, is that something you guys think you would do? You would offer if you were the consultation or the consultant? Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I just think it's something that's not only is it smart, but I think it's really smart and like savvy like business strategy in basically bringing in more clients because we've talked before on these live streams about being word of mouth. So yeah, Sneaky Ninja. I agree with you. Yeah. What? So Sneaky Ninja says, I think one major drawback with consulting is that the info is readily available now, and it's hard to get clients unless you have a really unique and high value skill set, like business development. Yeah, I totally agree with you, 100%. I feel like unless it's something that is not easily like, you're right. I mean, is a skill set. So I'm gonna blurt something out. So video editing, right? I mean, yeah, you can find somebody to edit your videos, but maybe you want it done a certain way, very specific technique or style, that kind of thing. Or you have this very or you're really skilled in a specific software and you just know all the tips and tricks and all the, you know, everything to streamline your process, something like that. But that kind of goes along with what you were saying, Sneaky Ninja, same kind of thing. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it would be difficult, I think, to kind of jump in with the other competitors swimming around in the sea if it was a more of a general sense in terms of consulting. You'd really have to hone in on some like extra special skill, that kind of thing, in order to really kind of, I think, draw people in and really keep them engaged, and want to keep paying you, to be honest. So, yeah, Jennifer, totally. So, Jennifer said, I think throwing the freebie in would definitely give you a better shot in a long term client. Because to me, what that says is if you're willing to give a freebie and you're willing to say, okay, because I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, maybe it's not just the paying customer that it's not a good fit for. Maybe the consultant themselves is like, hey, I don't know about this person. I feel weird vibes. I don't know. Something feels off. So you as a consultant could also equally almost kind of like a job interview in a sense. You're kind of getting a sense of, how this individual is that you're about to be working with, and you can easily turn that down. So yeah, for sure, Sweetums. I mean, cutting out the learning curve um, is something that I think if it's the right place, the right time, the right kind of situation, you have the budget for it. I mean, and it's not just some kind of like knee jerk reaction. I mean, if you're really researching and you're really digging down and this is something you know you need to do, not just need to do, but it would extremely benefit you in whether it be speeding up, streamlining, or like automating your business, your process, whatever it is, or even just your learning curve, I think it's crucial. So, and just as like a quick little kind of side thought is like, I know I've kind of told you guys before, but I actually have a coach with YouTube for it, not with YouTube, but for YouTube. So, um, as far as cutting down the learning curve, it's been huge for me. So, it's definitely something where you take somebody who has more experience, more exposure. They've been around the game for a little longer, and you're like, dude, asking questions and kind of, you know, throwing things off them, and does this look right? This, that. So if it's the right place, the right time, the right scenario situation, excuse me, it definitely can help for sure. Cut that learning curve. So, I think, so Sweetums asked, how would you differentiate yourself and make yourself stand out from the competition? I think that's kind of like the $1 million question. Everybody who's doing consulting, I think should be thinking about this. So for me, I really like the engaging part of it. So finding different ways to interact. There it is again. This thing, I hit it again. Sorry. Finding different ways to interact with the client, and in terms of making it as fun as possible, and making it exciting, kind of making it something new and fresh, whether it be like little games to learn or different ways to kind of help, the client digest the information, or little tips or tricks, whether it be like flashcards or, associating with a real world interest. So, for example, if you need to explain something, maybe you can relate it to something that the client is a fan of. So let's just say pick a sports team, whatever sports team, they like. You can maybe somehow find a way to relate the information loosely on the sports team or something that they're interested in, that they can directly relate to. Okay, if I think about doing business this way, I know it's going to be like whatever, Peyton Manning, or whatever, this kind of thing. So if you associate it with something that you have the client has an interest in, or that they are passionate about, I think it's the sticking point is a little easier. So it's easier to like not only digest but also remember and like retain. Another thing that I really like to do that I feel like helps me, because I'm a visual person, I have to like, not only do I have to see something when I'm like learning something, but I have to do it myself. So I have to actually move the mouse around and click around or design this or whatever. So like over the shoulder tutorials for me and like this channel, were like huge. So that's just kind of the way that I like to do it, as far as sharing my screen and showing this is how I'm doing it, literally click by click, step by step. So that's kind of for me, like kind of a strategy that I would use to set myself apart. And I know there's others that probably feel the same. So it's really a matter of how you relay the information, but also it's your communication. It's, your knowledge obviously plays into there too, but um, how do you interact with a client? Like, can you keep it lighthearted? Can you keep it fun? You know, have a sense of humor and not just like, oh, it's all business. We're gonna just, this is like very boom, strict, So I think I would do a combination of all that if I was being a consultant. So, but mostly like make it fun and like try to make it like sense of humor type thing. So, okay, so Bookie asks, what about making a unique profile or targeted ads? Yeah, so um, sorry, Bookie, just to be clear, so you were referring to making yourself stand out, like creating a unique profile and or creating targeted ads towards a potential audience that you might want to capture? to make yourself stand out. Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. So as far as making a unique profile, it could be anything from the design of the profile, meaning like if you had a website or if you had your social media, you could do like really fun or really engaging ways to show your personality off. Um, and I think it all comes down to showing that you're human. You know, you're human, you have these skills, you have this knowledge, but at the same time you make mistakes, you're not perfect. You know, I think there's a sense of being relatable with that, and you're like, whoa, this person is like, they have whatever failures and bad days, and they just, days where everything is falling apart around them. um, Being relatable, I think, is huge, and that's a way to make yourself stand out, as far as being able to have that come through the camera or the portfolio or the website or whatever it is. So try to make yourself as relatable and as humanly possible, because I think people can see that. They can see the authenticity, they can see the integrity, and the skill and all that stuff. I mean, obviously you can work that into, but and then I think for targeted ads, that's definitely something also where if you kind of have an idea of who you might want to target, um, just in terms of your ideal audience, that kind of thing, by targeting not necessarily obviously individual people, obviously, but like, maybe a subset of like an age group, or this is a profession, or this is something they may be interested in. Um, definitely targeted ads for sure is something that I think could make you stand out for sure, because you're taking the time, the effort, and really just you're creating your own strategy in order to say, this is who I am. You know this is me. You can work with me, you can watch me, whatever, or you can go find somebody else, what I mean? So at some point, just all of us in general, like when we watch YouTube or we try to learn something, whether the person like has the most knowledge or the latest and greatest like information or update on that topic, if you find a way to relate to somebody, I think you're more willing to like watch and kind of watch for longer, even if it's not like the best information. It's still like, hey, you look like me, you sound like me, I feel like we're around the same age, or whatever the case is. So that being able to be relatable, I think, is huge. So oh, that's awesome, Jennifer. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. That's very kind. So Jennifer said, I definitely think your method is great. Over the shoulder is not common with most make money online creators. So I think being your authentic self is how you differentiate. Thank you. Yeah, and part of that is honestly, like, I can't really learn if I'm just listening and hearing. I actually need to be able to see it, not just see it visually, but very simple, and be like, okay, almost like when we're going back as kids, right? To like elementary, middle school, like click here, do this, do that, hold your mouse down. Sometimes I feel like it sounds stupid when I'm saying it on videos, but that's the best way for me to learn. So I'm like, okay, I hope somebody else can relate. Okay, so Sweetums asked, a bit off topic, but do you think knowing your target audience should always be the first step before starting any business venture? It seems to be a running theme in these challenges. I think so, and the reason I think it definitely should be something that is a priority is because it kind of goes back to when we're talking about, let's just say, for example, you're in the fishing niche, and you talk about all things fishing, you teach the latest rods and reels and lures and bobbers and all that kind of stuff. But if you're targeting people that are automotive people, or maybe people that are bakers or crochet people or whatever, gardeners, maybe that's not the kind of people that are interested in the same things like the fisher people are. So I think it's important to have your target audience, only because they can relate to it, right? And they understand, and they're like, okay, I can respect what you're saying, and I know what you're talking about. We're on the same level as far as being able to be like, okay, that's relatable. I know what you mean. I know the terminology. I know the lingo. Whereas somebody in a totally different niche or different target audience would be like, "What the heck are you talking about? This is like foreign to me," that kind of thing. I don't understand. So I think that's kind of why it definitely seems like it's a common theme because it's super important to know who you're going to try to go after and target to make sure that you're effectively drawing as many people in as you can that have the same interest and same, kind of like mindset. So, hey, Maria. Okay, so Maria's question is for locally reaching out to people, do you ever do mailers? And if so, how many? Was it effective? So, I got to be honest with you, Maria, I've never tried that before. I've never tried mailers. Um, as far as like how effective it is, in my opinion, before I did mailers, I would probably hop on. If you're talking local, I would probably hop on Nextdoor. So I don't know if you're familiar with Nextdoor, which is like a local social media platform for like neighborhoods and that kind of thing. Um, Hey, Earning Empire, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I would hop onto something like a Nextdoor, local kind of neighborhood platform. This is just me, before I did mailers, because I feel like you can spend your time, your energy, your money, to get those mailed out, that kind of thing, to collect addresses and get stickers or stamps or whatever. But I think you'd probably reach more people quicker if you started online and you weren't actually physically mailing something out. Um, but I definitely do not want to discount the importance of, it definitely is more of an original style marketing technique and tactic which I think can work. It absolutely can work for sure. I think, but I do feel like with the dawn and the age of like digital marketing and that kind of thing, I, honestly, I feel like people may be more prone to just throw it in the trash and look at it and be like, "Oh, what is this? Okay, I don't need that." Boom. I could be totally wrong, but I just kind of feel like maybe people would connect more with the digital side. So, but yeah, no, Sweetums has a good thought, a good question. Maria, are we talking unsolicited mailers or people that would buy in or be, I guess, is it like a cold call kind of thing? Um, just curious, like, yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. Okay, got it. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. They could reach out through social media. So, I mean, you know what you can do, to be honest, like, and I apologize if I'm not going to explain this next part like fully, like if it makes sense, but could you choose like maybe a subset of where do you think you're going to send mailers out? So let's just say, for example, you have like five neighborhoods in the area or five maybe subdivisions or whatever you want to call it. Could you pick like a little sliver or like a little subset of who you may want to send mailers to? And just so you're not going like full blast, like full steam, could you just do like a baby amount and kind of see maybe what the reaction or the reception is? Excuse me. Just to kind of see if you get any leads or any kind of communication. I guess the only other follow up question I would have is what are you trying to glean or like what is your goal or your point of the mailers? Like what are you trying to do? Is it just to like for exposure to like your business or something like that, or is it something to where you obviously you want exposure to build clients, that kind of thing, but um I guess what is your end game? Okay, no, that's cool. I mean, I think depending on what the business is, if you have a let's just say for example, I'm just gonna make this up. So you create a postcard or something, some sort of template in Canva. You know, you have, let's just say, your picture, your business name. Maybe you put like a QR code or something on there for the best way to for somebody to contact you. Nothing actually beats like if because you were saying there's a business district. I mean, is that something where you could go like I know it takes a little time, but could you go in person and like try to drop off something to like the reception desk or like the front desk or that kind of thing? Or is that not kind of what you're talking about as far as like, you know, showing face and actually like introducing yourself, you know? Okay. Used to be a virtual assistant, VA for years. I now started learning how to use AI to write apps and rip it. That's awesome. That's so cool. Congratulations. That is awesome. Those are incredible skills to have. I was also a programmer previously, but do not want to do that full time anymore. Okay. Yeah, understand. Whoa. Hey, and I don't mean like whoa, whoa. It's like whoa is here. Happy 4th of July, whoa. Good to see you. How you doing, man? Okay. Yeah, I understand, Maria. Yeah, but they usually throw it away. Yeah, you know what? I mean, you know what? It is what it is, right? I mean, people see these mailers and these postcards and that kind of thing, and they're like, ah, you know, I don't need this or whatever. I look at it and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to call them. I'm not interested. And that's kind of where it goes back to like the time and the money and the effort and everything spent to do that. You know, I mean, is not bad. I mean, that there's always a learning experience with that. The process of doing that, getting out there, you know, boots on the ground, so to speak, and just kind of hitting the ground running. But if you feel like the overarching response has been negative in terms of people throwing it away, then you know maybe that's kind of maybe that's kind of your answer right there. And again, it's not everybody that chucks them, but you know, you could probably save yourself time and money um, by just sticking to digital. So if you're going to advertise, you can advertise on like local next door or that kind of thing. So okay. All right, Maria. So around there, everyone seems like they're using mailers and radio heavily. Hmm, that's interesting. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying that, right? And actually, like, I my thing for you would just be like, just obviously just try to be, aware of, if it doesn't cost that much money to send the mailers out and do that, that might be worth it just to try it out, just test it out and see how it goes, you know. But radio ads, that's interesting. I mean, I, I know obviously like excuse me. I mean, I still definitely listen to the radio. I mean, I think that once upon a time, obviously that was like a premier market for marketing. Um, and maybe since the dawn of, digital stuff, that's kind of gone down a little bit, but I, I I think it's worth a try. So definitely, if it's not too expensive, it doesn't break the bank. Depending on what you're trying to get across, maybe you could even potentially, um, write in and see if the radio station, maybe one or more, has a way that you could do some sort of, sometimes they have these like small business kind of segments in their shows where they break off and they talk about, briefly talk about, small businesses. At least here they do. um and obviously that would depend on, the station itself, but um yeah, I mean that's interesting though. I definitely wouldn't shut anything out. It's really a matter of how much time and effort and money that you're willing to kind of test, because everything really is trial and error, right? It's all about testing until you find something that sticks. And it doesn't mean that you have to stick with one form of marketing. So I say whatever you're comfortable with, rock and roll that, take some risks, as long as it doesn't break the bank, you know? Bookie says, I'm wondering if perhaps they're using mailers and radio because of retirees in Florida. Sorry, my eyes are crappy. Seems like an older generation advertising tactic. Yeah, no, I mean that's also something that I think you obviously you were very, very aware and on top of that fact, just that fact in itself. Maybe perhaps it's an older generation, like an old school style of marketing, and maybe people, what may also be a good idea, Maria. I just thought of it in my head was like, I don't know if you guys have like a community newspaper or like a major, like the Miami Herald, something like that. Maybe try putting an ad in the newspaper. If it's more like an older generation, maybe you could write into the Herald and just say, okay, I have this ad, whatever, whatever you want to put in there. And that might be an option. Or if there's like a local newsletter, I know around here in Colorado, there's like some local newsletters or whatever that, people have going around the neighborhoods. So maybe that might be an option too. Because, the older generation definitely, um, if they're able to get a physical copy of the newspaper, then that might be something too. So, and you never know who's going to read it, who's going to see it. So that's the thing. You always kind of make sure you got your feelers out there all over the place. I just want to take a quick moment again to say thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Um, Thank you for taking the time to join this. And it means a lot to me. And for you guys supporting me, I really appreciate it. So we are not yet monetized here on YouTube. And if you would like to, there's a way to help support us. At the very top of this live stream chat, there's a couple different ways to support us. If you'd like to make a donation, we have Buy Me a Coffee, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, Venmo, the whole works. So if you feel inclined to help, we'd be greatly appreciative. And so just wanted to put that out there. So, oh, you're welcome, Maria. No problem. I'm happy to help and to give, that's a cool thing about this community that we're building. I mean, everybody is so willing to help and offer suggestions and just pull from their own experiences and what may or may not work. You know, not everything might work, but at least if you kind of get the ball rolling in your mind and you're like, oh, I didn't think of that or that or that. I just can't believe how quickly this live stream is going by. So we got about 17 minutes, give or take, roughly. So, okay, so Earning Empire asked, do you need to write up contracts and legal agreements if you're on Fiverr? So, I'm pretty sure that Fiverr has some built-in templates that you can use, and by signing up for Fiverr and um, agreeing to use their platform, I'm pretty sure that there is some sort of kind of pre-defined template. But you can always use like AI if you wanted to do that kind of thing to kind of craft a template. And I would definitely, for sure, um, have it looked over by a lawyer, if at all possible. Do like a consultation and just kind of get the blessing, basically, because you want to make sure that, especially if this is a transaction where money's involved, you want to make sure that you're not going to screw yourself over and get taken advantage of on both sides of the fence. So yeah, I mean, so how would you handle that as a independent consultant? Sorry, I'm like not reading it. Yeah, so I would, yeah, like Maria said, I would use AI to kind of form the outline or the template. And then what you can do is obviously they also have sites like LegalZoom and different other sites. They may be a little more pricey, but there are legal templates that you can, I mean, contract templates that you can basically craft to your own, whatever your own specific needs are, as far as what are the goods and services? What are you providing? What's your hourly rate? That kind of thing. And I personally, I mean, I know it's not necessarily cheap, but if you can get it basically blessed by some sort of like a business lawyer or somebody who can look over it, knows the terminology and knows the lingo, I think that would save you a lot of headaches in the long run. Just if you're paying a little bit up front, just to make sure that you have the legal side of it covered. Because that can be one of the most difficult sides, I think, is not knowing all the aspects fully of the legal side. So, and I mean, to be honest, you definitely don't want to guess or you don't want to leave the legal side up to chance, so to speak. You want to make sure that you're comfortable with everything as far as that goes. So, yeah, those are good questions. Okay, so where do we leave off? Okay, so we talked about marketing, um, launching and promoting your consulting business. So if you're thinking about actually launching and promoting the business itself, you're really going to want to start with some sort of a strategy. So plan the launch strategy. If you're brand new and you're just trying to get the word out, we talked about going local to see if you can get some sort of testimonials or reviews with people that you work with or that you could work with like on a local level. I know we were talking about online, but if you need to get those testimonials and those reviews like early on, and you need something that basically gives, you want someone to feel like the warm and fuzzies or like the comfort or that they can trust you. Otherwise, if you don't have any testimonials or reviews or anybody basically singing your praise, it's difficult to just trust somebody to do something, right? So, and when, we talked about offer introductory discounts or bonuses. Excuse me. I don't know about bonuses, but like offer some sort of introduction rate. So maybe like, for example, either a certain percent off, or maybe if you book how many sessions, then you can say, okay, you book 4 sessions, I'll give you the fifth one for free. Or like if you book 5 sessions total, I'll take 10% off each one, that kind of thing. Really like draw these people in and to give them a sense of um, not just they're getting a deal, but also at the same time that you're working with them. You understand it's tough out there. Everybody's budget is super, super tight, and you're not trying to take advantage of people. So I think at the end of the day, just you can run a business and you can obviously you want to make profit. That's the whole point of it. But you can do it with a human sense, a human element, and it doesn't have to be as cutthroat as, I think kind of just in general it is. I mean, you don't have to go the way that everybody else is going. You can make your own path, and that kind of thing. And even if it's a little bit slower to grow and to scale and that kind of thing, I think you can sleep at night and you're doing it on your own terms. So I think that's really important. And then you're going to start getting the reputation for, hey, person ABC, whatever, is doing this. And they have lots of great feedback because I loved working with them. They were so easy to get along with. They knew their stuff and they had a different style, but it was something that I could relate to. It was something that kind of drew me in and was like, dude, this is cool. I mean, you made me feel comfortable. You didn't make me feel like an idiot, like I didn't know what I was talking about. And being able to listen also I think is huge because you don't want to just sit up there and be a talk box. You want to be able to listen and be able to take in, digest, and like analyze what is somebody's pain points, what are their problems, what are they trying to get solved, or how can you help somebody out. And I think if you go in with that mindset, there's no way you can lose, right? I mean, then the reputation starts building and building and building like a snowball kind of going down the hill, and then it picks up and picks up. And that is just as effective in my opinion as like marketing yourself maybe with ads or that kind of thing. um, so it's just word of mouth, I think, is incredibly powerful. And although traditionally it may be slower, in the long run, I think you're building more long term or lifelong clients. How are you guys doing out there? Is it just like, all right, this is boring. We're just gonna get off this thing now? Is it I just want to make sure it's not just me like yapping up here. So make sure you guys are kind of getting something out of it and there's at least a little tiny bit of value that this live stream offers. It definitely is helpful for me to kind of, to know that, hey Lava Copper, how you doing? Thank you so much for popping in. Really appreciate it. Welcome from Puerto Rico. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here. So we are in a 30-day challenge. So how to make money online for 30 days. Every day is a different topic or business model. So yeah, definitely. I mean, you came to the right place. So we'd love to have you be a part of this community. So, you know, consider subscribing and being a part of this. So, we still have what, seven, how many more days left? Today's day 23, 7 days left, 6 or 7 days. And the replays are always going to be up. So if you'd like to go back, we have a playlist that has all the lives that were previously talked about, the previous 22 days. So yeah, you're more than welcome to check that out if you'd like to. Hey, Earning Empire. No, no worries about being late. It's all good. So we didn't actually kind of talk about those things. So okay, best practices and things to avoid. Let's talk about best practices first. So when we're talking about consulting, yeah, you're welcome. No problem, Lava. So when you're talking about online consulting, best practices, number one for sure for me would be, oh, thank you, Sweetums. Number one best practices, in my opinion, is communication skills. So it's not what rate you set. It's not, how good you are, how well you can actually like deliver the information. I mean, that's important too, but um, definitely communication and customer service for sure, because you need to be able to talk to the client and be able to make sure that you're on the same page. You figure out what the pain point is, what they're trying to get solved. What the issue is. How can you help them not only move forward but learn, but solve a problem? So that's probably like best practice for me. And then on top of that is providing a very real and authentic and human type of experience, meaning you don't talk down to them. There's respect on both sides. You're teaching like practical skills, practical whatever it is, whatever you're doing, whatever they ask you to do. Just make sure that you communicate and it's something that you're on the same page. You're always transparent and you understand what the expectation is of you. So that would be best practices for me. In terms of things to avoid, I would say there's a lot of people I think that try to scam people out of, you need to send me money. Look out for the things like send me the full payment up front, that kind of thing, without any kind of knowledge or any kind of introduction or, you know, like a prepayment kind of thing for all the services. Um, to me, that's a red flag. I would definitely look out for that. Unless you sit down, you have that initial conversation and the consult, and you're on the same page, and you agree to do like a prepayment kind of thing. If you pay in blocks, that sort of thing. Another thing to avoid is just going with the first person that you see because they look good or they look like they know what they're talking about. So I would just say another thing to avoid is definitely not asking for references, testimonials, asking to speak with or view some sort of previous experience that they've had dealing with customers because they're going to sit there and a consultant could talk all day long. They just want your business. They're basically in a nutshell, they're like a salesperson. So they're trying to like draw you in and get you to just sign on a dotted line. But if you get feedback and other kind of basically talking to people that have worked with them before, then I think that's crucial. So ignoring either ignoring the fact that you need to do a little research and due diligence, that's definitely a mistake that people will make is not doing enough research before hiring somebody. So those are great questions. So yeah, Lava. So the question is, what is your favorite way to make money, your personal favorite way. So for me, I think affiliate marketing is definitely my personal favorite, and the reason is is because I feel like the barrier to entry is low, meaning you don't necessarily need to use a lot of money. There's a lot of free resources out there, and I feel like there's so many different ways you can actually make affiliate marketing work. So many different platforms, so many different avenues that you can take to make money, whether it be just social media, blog, website. Um, you just have to be patient and you have to not give up. You have to keep going and always learning some new skills. So, yeah, that's what I would say, Lava. So, okay, Maria asked, how can you avoid scammers as clients try to scam us? I have a client who got scammed on their card over $300, $301 transaction, and now they're having to pay a bunch of fees per transaction. So that I think that's a tough one. I mean, as far as like asking, getting payment, receiving payment, that kind of thing. Um, so do you know by chance, Maria, was that a credit card that the card was used, or was it like a debit card? Do you know? Because it sounds like if they were paying a bunch of fees per transaction, that might have been a debit card. Okay, got it. So I think just like for me personally, like just kind of like a good rule of thumb is I I I would always try if you can try to use a credit card for any kind of transaction, no matter what it is. Okay, no worries. So I would say definitely if if it seems like it's weird or it's off or it doesn't sound like it sounds too good to be true or it sounds like something doesn't add up or line up, that would probably be a red flag for me. And what you can do is before you pay, obviously, you know, communicate as best you can with the client or whoever it is and make sure that you're very clear about like an itemized breakdown or you're clear about what you're actually paying for or is being charged, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you get a breakdown of what are the charges if possible. I mean, I know a reputable company would be able to break it down and say line item 1 is this, line item 2 is this, and so forth. um, and really Facebook is like, I'm not saying this happened on Facebook, but Facebook is like well known for scams. So really anything online, unless it's done through something like the payment processor, like a PayPal or like a Stripe, where things can be tracked a little bit better. I would say just try to be as cognizant as possible and try to think it through before you swipe your card or you type in your card number. Try to get more information. Even if somebody sends you a bill, you can still ask for like an itemized breakdown of what you're getting charged for. So, and I would obviously highly recommend using a credit card for any type of online transaction humanly possible. Don't use a debit card if you can help it, because it's a lot easier for a credit card company to either freeze the card or dispute or refute the charges than it is on a debit card. It is they can do it. A bank can do it, but it just takes more time and more money. So does that kind of, I guess, kind of give you a little bit of insight? I mean, that's kind of what I would do, just without kind of knowing the whole story or knowing exactly kind of what happened, like how it went down. That's rough though. $301 transactions. Awesome. You're welcome. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's tough when you get charged like those fees. So I mean, obviously I don't know, but it does sound like a debit card. Some sort, because if it was a credit card, I don't know why you would get charged fees unless it was like there was like a transaction fee itself. But that sounds like an awful lot of, because you could buy like $301 items but not get charged any transaction fees, for a typical credit card. That is a very scary thought. Very scary. So total fees over $900. That is terrifying. Yeah, something definitely seems off there. Like there's, and I know obviously, w- you know, you don't give any other details, but like something seems off. It seems like something's not right about that whole situation, obviously. But yeah, I totally agree. You definitely need to be careful. And I think, to be honest, like it's not as, I think, it is scary, but it's more if you use a credit card, like any standard credit card. I mean, because we're, obviously we're both in the U.S. Any standard credit card, you're not gonna have a problem with, if there's some kind of fraud or scam or that kind of thing, fraudulent charges. I mean, that's why I would say use a credit card because you can freeze it immediately once you start seeing these posted charges come in, and then reaching out to the credit card company. I've had fraud a couple times actually on debit cards, and it's been just a nightmare. In terms of like you got to wait to get the money back, and then they got to put the pause on it, freeze the account and all that. So it just, because it's the checking or the debit card, that kind of thing is like more liquid, meaning like more actual cash versus a credit card, which is, just, you know, it's not taking out of your bank account basically. So um, that's why I always try to use a credit card if at all possible. Okay, so Earning Empire asked, how do you handle international clients and the taxes from that? So what I would do is I would find out. I definitely would talk to some sort of a CPA or like an accountant, somebody who is kind of well versed in terms of, having like an international, not just business transaction, but also what are the different varying, like laws, taxes, sales tax, whatever it is. Um, I would say don't try to necessarily figure it out yourself. At least try to do like reach out to some sort of a CPA or tax professional or accountant, that kind of thing. Um, and at least just explain kind of the situation and see if they can direct you before you agree to take on that type of client. I think, or before you kind of really ramp up, maybe have an idea of, okay, if they're from this region, I know what to do, or I know what to expect, or I have to charge this type of um, tax or fee or whatever. Um, because it can be super tricky, like especially with different countries. You're not exactly sure kind of how it works, and you don't want it to come back around to you if you're based, like, it doesn't matter where you're based, but if you're based in the States, you don't want it to come back around and then you have this hefty like tax bill. um, or not only that, but also if you're missing out on a lot of money, or if you lose money because you forgot, or you not, sorry, let me start over. You lose money because you weren't aware that you were supposed to pay these taxes or save for this certain tax. So I would definitely, I would cut through kind of the, you know, I guess what you're unsure of, go right to a tax professional or some sort of accountant and just ask them kind of what they think. That's the best thing, is if you're in doubt, just go to a professional. Even if it costs you a little bit of money to talk to them and get basically an understanding, that's worth it to have the full picture versus basically getting yourself in hot water later. So yeah, no, but these have been really great questions. Yeah, no problem. So once again, I want to say thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for the ones that keep coming back. It means a lot to me. It really does. Um, Tomorrow, day 24, we're going to be talking about remote customer service. So you guys can kind of imagine what that means and what that all entails. So we're going to dive into that, um, which is tomorrow, day 24 on Friday. So I think we're gonna. If you guys don't have any other questions, we're gonna get ready to close out the live. I think I definitely need to rest my voice and get ready for tomorrow. So I just want to say thank you again very much for everybody being here. I really appreciate it. And as always, go check out the Facebook group if you'd like to. And I just appreciate you guys being here. So thank you. It means a lot to have the support. You're welcome. No problem, Sneaking Egypt. It's so good to see you again. Thank you. Hopefully, you guys come back, and I hope to see you guys again soon. So, if you guys are in the United States, happy 4th of July, and be safe. Have fun out there tonight, wherever you are. If you're anywhere out in the world, have a great night, great morning, great afternoon. Be safe, and I hope to see you guys soon. So, thank you guys so much, and we will see you tomorrow, day 24, remote customer service. All right, everybody. Good night.